It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need, visit them online at leecompany.com. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company, tackle their heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical problems, and they can protect your home too. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Depressed and dejected, says Ronald Reagan. I don't even remember what it's like to be happy on Sundays, says also Ronald Reagan. What's Will Levis up to, says Lonzo Wright. And that's pretty much how the chat is shaping up. I'm joined by Dr. Kevin Dyson, got the scholar Stoney Keelan, and I'm Professor Zach Lyons. We're carrying you all the way to 6:30 to talk about this exciting game that was played in front of a crowd of hundreds at the Nissan Stadium. I hate to ask you this, Kevin. I hate to ask you this.
What you going to?
You got anything positive?
Yes. You know me. I'm going to find something. That first drive, we talked about it last week of maybe utilizing tight ends, extra bodies, big bodies, establishing some kind of physicality of your offense. And the way they went through and Ginsu knifed the defense with that physicality, with the extra linemen and looking like somewhat of an unbalanced type line. You got 40 yards rushing in that first drive alone-ish right around there. I thought, okay, we have found something. And they'd use a lot of facets of the game, multiple formations, but that in particular established a physicality that it disappeared after that drive. And you didn't see it again, and the stats would show you from that point on when they would really run the football. And I don't know why you get out of that because you were still in a game until you weren't in a game, obviously. And I thought that was unique. And I thought these past 2, maybe 3 weeks, they've added some wrinkles that I think have benefited them, but then they go right back to the old stuff that hasn't benefited them. So I get it. You're trying to, again, call somebody's plays, somebody's offense that's been already implemented, and you're trying to add little wrinkles here and there so it's easier to kind of revert back.
Right.
But the things that have worked, at least from my vantage point over the last several weeks, have been some of the newer wrinkles that they've been able to implement. And then when you revert back to some of the other stuff, they just kind of begun stagnant. And I know there's going to be a lot of conversation about going for it on fourth down and penalties and all that kind of stuff. And I got my spill on that. I worry about it, but I'm not, because a lot of that is just guys just competing, wanting to win and frustration and trying to do whatever it takes to win. But at the end of the day, when you're not a good football team or you're not playing well as a unit, you can't afford those kind of instances where it's going to be detrimental. You had an opportunity to get a team off the field with no points, then you do something stupid and you give them points. You can't. So the word of the day or the rest of the season is finish. You got to be able to finish drives, finish plays, finish catches, finish throws, finish tackles, finish coverages. They just don't finish completely all the time, or at least today, that was the case.
All right, the opening drive to what you were just talking about starts off with a Cam Ward pass to Van Jefferson for 4 yards. Tony Pollard up the left guard, up the middle, 15 yards on the ground. Explosive play right there. Cam Ward pass short middle to Chigakonkwo for 6 yards. Then it goes Tony Pollard up the middle for 11 yards. Tony Pollard, right guard, 10 yards. So 3 explosive runs for Tony Pollard straight off the bat to take him up to 36 yards on 3 carries. Then they were like, okay, well, we did that. Let's go for a Chimere DK end around trick play, because they love to do a trick play for whatever reason when they have actual momentum. That goes for 1 yard. But then Cam Ward comes over the middle, throws it to Chig for 16 yards. So that's 2 passes to Chig, to your point. The 3 runs for Tony Pollard. 2 guys that we have said Tony Pollard has been good. They just haven't had push. They're getting push up the middle, imposing that will. And then we've always said that they need to get Chig involved early. They were able to do that on 2 of these plays. And then after that pass to Chig, they go Tajay Spears up the middle for 2 yards, took Tony Pollard out of the game. And no offense to Tajay Spears, but you ride the hot hand, in my opinion. And then they go pass. And then they don't go for it on the 4th down, which I know I'm in the minority of fans that are probably calling in, and we're probably going to get called idiots. I don't have a big gripe about it. Now, I understand this idea of what are you playing for? But at that point, you just capped off your best drive of the game, by the way. And you need points.
You need points.
And I'm okay with that. Now, I got some beefs in other game situational, stuff, but, you joked, Stoney, that, hey, they're going to run all the way down the field just like they did against the Jaguars last year. Then they're going to get into a scoring position and go pass, and they kind of almost
pretty close to it. Yeah. Tony Pollard averaged 6.0 yards per carry today, but they had 14 rushing attempts as a team compared to 38 pass attempts. And it's not balance. I can see if a team is taking away the run, you might be forced to get away from it. But this was a case where they were thriving on that opening drive. And like Zach said, they had multiple explosive runs back to back on that drive. So it's almost as if, congratulations, you played yourself. Like, you took the ball out of Tony Pollard's hand and decided to throw down there around the red zone. And the rest of the game, it just kind of felt clunky. They never really went back to it.
Never got another rhythm.
And there's sort of an overall run game aside, but the totality of the offense, it just felt like there was a little incoherence. It just, things weren't glued together and things weren't operating well. They seemed out of sync, out of rhythm. And it's hard to get in a game like this when you have a drive like that, and then the Jacksonville Jaguars turn around in a minute and 10 seconds and put 15 points on the board. It kind of feels like things slip away from you at that point. And I don't know if it's an issue of patience or what, but they could just never get back on their own 2 feet after that.
Yeah, I kind of look at this team. They understand they have the number 1 overall pick, and a lot of times you want to put the ball in the hands of your number 1 overall pick, but there are certain games where you're doing too much of that. And this was one of those games over the last couple of weeks. We've talked about how bad this run game has been and how good Cam Ward has looked. Now your run game's looking good. Cam Ward's looked bad in this game, and you just completely pretty much abandon the run game. I mean, he talks about the 3 and outs. He's like, well, it's hard to get into a rhythm, or it's hard to do anything when you go 3 and out. And they had 3 and outs in a row.
Yeah.
Well, the very first one was pass.
Yeah.
Pass for 5 yards. So you're in a situation where you can either run or pass it, and your run game has been working in the prior drive. You decide to go for a pass, and that's the sack fumble that Peter Skoronski ends up picking up and recovering. Then it's the second. Then there's a sack followed by that, and then you go run for 3 yards, pass for 4 yards, and you're in another situation, and it's an incomplete pass. And that's not to say that you shouldn't have passed in that situation. I'm just now laying all this out. Then the next one is a run for 1 yard, a pass for 6, then a false start and an incomplete pass. And that's 3 straight 3 and outs. And at that point, I believe you're still with, it's not, the game's not fully out of hand, but lean into your run game more. And I mean, they had 3 carries at the beginning of the game on the first drive with Tony Pollard. He ends up with just 7 more the rest of the game.
Yeah. It's interesting. You look at Cam's stats. Statistically, it's not a bad day. 24 completions, right? And he hit how many different receivers? Was it? 9 different receivers, but 4 yards per catch, 3 yards per catch, 7 yards per catch. It wasn't like a whole lot of explosiveness in the play calling. So it was just Deacon and Duncan, where sometimes it's like that, right? They're going to make you methodically go down the field, and I'm okay with that. You got a higher percentage of completion. But again, to your point, it just you started leaning on that. 38 pass attempts when first quarter especially, I felt like, okay, you've established something, and I just don't understand why that disappeared. I don't know, because it didn't seem – I know Jacksonville went down and got that big touchdown drive, and it's 7-3. It's just that is what I think fans are going to scratch their head about today.
Well, look at the Panthers just real quick. The Panthers win they moved to 7-6. They beat the Rams, who were one of the favorites of the NFC. But in doing so, they remain committed to the run game no matter how far the game is out of reach. They have 2 better running backs as a whole than what you probably have, but they've done it with 10 different offensive line combinations throughout the season. So but they stay committed. Even if they're not getting the yards or they fall behind, they stay committed. But this Tennessee Titans team fails to establish the run and fails to stick with the run. And I think that's a recipe for disaster when you don't have a team or when you have a team as young as they are right now, that it tends to be a recipe for disaster if you can't get any push. You also can't, not only can your quarterback not kind of get in a rhythm, your wide receivers, your running backs can't get in a rhythm, and your offensive line doesn't get in a rhythm. And I think today that showed. I think today was definitely not a great J.C. Latham day, but this entire offensive line was poor, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In most instances.
And you pointed out when we were watching the game, Zach, when they were on that opening drive, that the middle of that defensive front is where Jacksonville has been sort of susceptible to in the run game. They've been a little vulnerable there. So my question would be, okay, you're having success with some of those inside runs. You're getting yards. You're getting explosive runs. Why isn't that more of the game plan? And if it was more of the game plan, what exactly did Jacksonville do to kind of force you to pivot from that? Because it's not clear from us just watching the game. It looks like the team just abandoned the run.
Yeah. I'll say this, having called plays, obviously not the pro level, but being a part of them. But we're all creatures of habit. And you can get just enamored with something and you just revert back to it. And on the call sheet, you got all your different situations, your different down and distances, your specials, your gimmicks. You have them all, but there's always a column where I'm going to this. That's what I know, and some of it is your basic plays, the ones your staples that they're always going to go to. But you can get somewhat just enamored with a grouping or a certain type of play, and you almost forget sometimes. And you look at your call sheet after the game, like, I should have ran that. I forgot about that. And I think that can be part of this. I mean, I don't want to put any words in anybody's mouth, man, but I think that could be part of it. I think there's a level of comfort with some certain types of plays and what has been called before, and some has been successful probably, that I think that was easy for them to forget and neglect the new stuff that they have been implementing because it's not embedded in their DNA just yet. And that's just my opinion, because I've done that. I've put these little wrinkles in, and then I go right back to what I've been doing. And you forget by the end of the game, you look through and you go, man, there was 5 plays I wanted to call for this game that I didn't. Now, the good news is you do get one more time to play this team. If those plays were good back then, they're still going to be good whenever you play them again. So you still have those in your back pocket. And that could be part of the conversation too. When you play a team twice, you have all these plays, but you're also thinking, I got to play one more time. I don't want to give them all, but I'm going to be on the other side of that. What do you got to lose at this point? You got to win. You got to get a win. So call everything and then look at the tape and get you another group of plays that you feel like you can win. But that could be part of the conversation too.
I'm curious as for the feel of play calling, because this is something that I was critical of last season against the Jags as well, when they're running the ball down Jacksonville's throat and then they get into the red zone and it's pass, and kick a field goal. When you're calling plays, the feel aspect of it, like how do you balance between being unpredictable and catching a defense in a matchup that is favorable to you and having success with something and wanting the defense to just make you stop? You see what I'm saying? Like, why wouldn't you, if you're having such success running the ball, why wouldn't you just keep going until the defense stops you?
Until they adjust. And from my opinion, and I'll answer your question, from what they were doing formationally, and Jacksonville didn't have an answer for it. And that's why they were able to gash them. And you got to assume Jacksonville went to sideline and said, hey, this is what they're doing. This is going to be an adjustment. But to me, you come out and you see what that adjustment is, and then you can whatever your counter is to that, then you can do it. I think from this standpoint, when you go away from something that you established, like for instance, most coaches, most play callers have their book 12, their 12 plays, and usually those plays are put in different formations, different sets, different tempos to see if you're doing anything different or if you're doing exactly what we expect you to do. So we got something that coming off of that for later. And so I was thinking, oh yeah, there's a counter coming off of this imbalanced set. It wasn't imbalanced, but it was imbalanced because of the heavy set it was. There's going to be a counter to this, maybe a pass, maybe something, whatever it was, but then they just abandoned it. So I don't know because usually the first 12 are, let me see how you line up. And it was working. So, okay, now we have this in our back pocket. And then we just went away from it. And what I gave 15-3, maybe you abandon it, but definitely when 7-3 and you wasn't really moving football, where was it? And then when it turned to 20-something to 3 and then what have you, that's a different ball game.
Yeah, sure.
But early on,
Right.
when you had something that was successful, I don't know why you got away from it. And my only opinion of that is I think you kind of can outthink yourself sometimes as a coach and say, all right, we did that. Now let's go back to what we do. Because even last week when they were changing up tempos and formations and they went no huddle sometimes, that had them on the heels.
Yeah.
And then they kind of left it for a little while until you had to use it again. And by that time, the game was a different type of game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think from a fan's perspective, the frustrating part is you see this glimpse of really, really good football, really good offensive football and play calling. And then there's these gaps and lulls where you're just like, we can't do anything right. And of course it falls on the quarterback, then it goes on the offensive line, and the running backs can't run, the receivers can't get open, they can't catch the football, and then all those things just kind of magnify because your inability to move football. But that first drive, everybody's like, man, this is a great offensive football team. And then it just kind of was dead until really the rest of the game. I don't even know if there was another situation. I think, well, they really look really good again. That first drive was really well called, really well executed. Aside from when he got inside the red zone again, you got to get touchdowns, especially at this point again, we need to get touchdowns, but you still got points. Aside from that drive was really well called, really well played, executed, and it was a mix. I mean, different guys touched the ball and things of that nature. So, I mean, when they evaluate this tape, I think they're going to look at that and say, man, we really got to find some rhythm in our play calling and really help our quarterback and our team
They
out.
need it. They need to start getting. They preach that. Well, it's hard for us to get into a rhythm because of this, or it's hard for us to get into a rhythm because of that. It's like some of this stuff is because of the coaching, like the play calling. It's not just the players, maybe in a penalty here and there. And I do agree that those can do it.
Absolutely.
But like at some point, the coaches got to be like, okay, we're responsible for at least putting the plays in order to be able to create a rhythm. And these last two opening drives of even today's opening drive and last week's opening drive, they did that, and then it looks like a completely different team. Specifically today,
Yeah,
this team was just not in sync, and I'd be remiss to remind everybody that Elikai Manor was inserted back into the lineup today, and I don't know. It was very reminiscent of when Elikai Manor was in the lineup before his injury, like this offense. So, Matt trying to put all the blame on a wide receiver.
It's all Ellick's fault.
But I think there is something about the chemistry and not being in the right place. And he had a couple of drop passes as well. Like that stuff also ruins the chemistry and stuff.
Yeah, DK is a little bit ahead of him at this point. And I don't know if the whole special teams and catching the rhythm, doing that, returning kicks, helped him go further along. That he's more comfortable in his skin when it comes to offensive play, but he's a little further ahead in his, and maybe it's just the way they use DK that he's more comfortable in his skin right now. But he definitely seems a little further ahead.
Yeah. All right, coming up next, we're going to go to the phones. We got loaded phone lines right now.
This is gonna be fun.
615-737-1045. We got Michigan, Eric, Andy, Jack, Mike, all on the line. So if you guys want to call in, we only got a few open lines left, but we'll be taking your phone calls the entire show. Cannot wait. This is the Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 104.5 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company. All you need, visit them online at Lee Dumpy. Lee.
That was kind of the game today, Dumpy.
Yeah. LeeCompany.com. Oh, boy. Fusion Site is the Titans provider of top-of-the-line VIP restroom trailer and roll-off dumpster needs. Fusion Site, Nashville's MVP. Visit fusionsite.com to learn more. You know, Beach Bump says it best. All I expected was progress, no explanation for today's performance. And I think we can all agree on that from Beach Bum on the FNN Bank chat, Twister, YouTube, Facebook Live. Eric Dean on Twitter says, this may be the worst performance in my 30-plus years of fandom. And that includes the 59-0 New England game.
No, it can't be.
Take away the first drive, and there was nothing. Up to now, I have been happy with the effort.
Yeah, it was a very disappointing game because, I mean, it wasn't just that the performance was bad, but it was in conjunction with the fact that this team had strung together 3 really scrappy performances. It felt like the momentum was building, and they couldn't. Not only could they not convert that into a win, but they got pantsed in their own stadium today.
Which means that they have lost 11 straight home games now.
Oh, that's brutal.
That's putting it lightly. I think, man, if you, it's so hard to be good all the time in the league. We've documented that. We've talked about it. I think and we said it, just want to see him progressively getting better. The hope factor, like, know that something's coming better ahead. And I think today was that step back. It was just like, it was frustrating because not that Jacksonville's obviously a better football team and they're leading the division right now. But I don't think anybody came in here thinking Jacksonville was what New England is now. Like, nobody thought they were the best team in the AFC. And so you thought you might have a chance to be competitive. I don't know if people thought they would win or not. I always think you're going to win, at least from a competitor standpoint. But to be demoralized the way you were today, and then in the stuff that happened in between time, like the personal fouls, the ejections, that was just disheartening. Because now it's just like, now what? You know what I mean? So hopefully we get through this week, get to next week, and you got a team that's also struggling for their own identity or wins or whatever. You get opportunity. And Cleveland's hard to play, man. It's cold. Off of that, it's cold. And you got to go up there and play a great defensive front for sure. Their defense is maybe not what they have been, but they're still a pretty good defense. They got one of the best pass rushers, if not the best pass rusher in the game, coming after you. It's a nice little challenge, but you have opportunity to be better. And I think today was disheartening because I think, and that could be our fault too, I think the expectations went up a little bit because they did seem to get better. And I think we had a different expectation of them getting better. And today, and that first drive too was like, okay. It was like, here we go.
All right, we're continuing the momentum.
Yeah, and then it's just like, womp, womp after that.
Oof, it was tough. All right, let's go to the phone, 615-737-1045. We're going to start with Michigan because he called in first, so sorry to Eric. I got to be
Eric
fair.
Lost out this week.
I can't do any kind of like performance-enhancing drugs by putting Eric first. Got to go. Well, this is a merit-based phone system, so we got to go with Michigan. Michigan, you're on with Titans Talkback.
As it was said best by Omar in The Wire, if you're going to come for the king, better come correct.
Yeah.
I called in first, Eric. Sorry. I got to say a couple things. First of all, I spent more time with you guys today than I did in Titan Stadium, listening to you on the way in and now on the way home. And I've never gotten back to Murfreesboro this quick, ever.
Isn't that crazy? I did the same thing going in this morning.
Says a lot about the attendance today. I do have one thought about the morning show. Do we have a Buck Rising Christmas Carols album? And if we don't, why don't we? Like, that man's voice would make, Nashville single females check their Facebook relationship status. That's just vocal tone.
I wish Buck were here to hear that.
Guy.
So all the grannies that still use Facebook, they're going to go and become single.
Listen, I mean, the deep voice and the talk about cats this morning, he had my undivided attention. I got a few things to say. First of all, I don't have a lot to say about this team. Like, I couldn't get rid of these tickets, so I took a friend from work who's from Jacksonville. He said it was a great day for him. I said it was exactly what I expected. I just don't know what this team's identity is. And we've talked writ large about all the things that are wrong. I really want to ask a question of you guys, and I'm not totally being a troll by asking this. I'm genuinely being serious. Has any team ever fired an interim head coach before? And if not, could Amy Adams Strunk actually be the first to do it? I don't think she will. I don't think she should. I just don't have any idea what this franchise's identity is right now. And we're going to have the number 1 overall pick. I don't think they could still mess that up, but I don't think that's really in question. The Jets seem to want to play hard for their coach. The Browns seem to have some interest in winning football games. I just don't see who's going to take the one from us. And this team is way more than an Arvell Reese or a Jeremiah Smith or anybody you want to put at the top of the draft. There's way more players away than just one dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll listen to what you guys have to say offline. Love listening to you as I always do. Still going to support the franchise as I always have. But, man, I thought we were at rock bottom. I don't know if there's any bottom beneath this rock bottom, because if there is, God save us all. But hope you guys have a great day.
We appreciate it, Michigan. I don't think an NFL interim head coach has ever been fired. Now, I will remember the Saints when Sean Payton was suspended for the year. They had an interim head coach. Then they slapped on in the middle of the season a second co-head coach. So they had co-head coaches that season. Aaron Cromer and someone else. I can't remember who I don't think it was Greg Williams. It was Aaron, because he would have been suspended too. Yeah. So Aaron Cromer and someone else became co-head coaches in the middle of the season. I don't think an interim head coach has ever been fired. You kind of joke, Stoney, is let's just see what Denard Wilson has at head coach. But I have to say this. As bad as today was, we also can't forget the progress they've shown the last few weeks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, they have a chance to rebound to what you said, and I don't know what to expect, because at this point, I just don't know what this team is other than they're consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, I don't know what good that would even do for you anyway. I think, at this point in the game, that would be seemingly even worse than the trades that have been made of throwing in the towel. I think you ride out
because that kind of sounds we all said that Amy has made this head coaching spot undesirable because she fires people. You're going to fire an interim head coach. That kind of
with only 5 games to go. I just at this point that would just make the situation even worse than what you want. You want to attract whomever you have your eyes on. You want them to want to come here and build something great. So no, I've never heard it. I've heard interims do enough to get the job. We've seen it in Houston. We've seen it actually in Oakland. We've seen it. We saw it in, I was going to say New England, but he ended up getting fired too. But we've seen guys that have worked their way into getting jobs. Doing it now, I just don't see it. It doesn't make sense to me.
There's 5 games left in the season. At this point, we've got this thing held together with duct tape. So I don't want to shake the boat up too much. And I think we should also, as bad as today was, and I agree it was bad. I think this was their worst game of the season by far. But I don't think we should lose sight of the fact, as Zach mentioned, that things were kind of coming together the last couple of games before. And
does not excuse today's performance.
It does not excuse it. And I do think it's kind of alarming that Jeffrey Simmons is mentioning something about whoever the next head coach is. I don't know if you have that exact quote handy, Zach, but I do think
play
that
the audio.
Yeah, I do think that points to maybe some friction, maybe some restlessness. I don't know, but at this point, I don't know what's going to change so much in 5 games that you would actually pull the trigger on that move. And at this point, just keep the stability intact and ride this thing out.
I think Big Jeff's comments, and I don't know if you ever played the audio. I think his comments,
unfortunately, nobody has the audio. We just have the quote.
I think his comments are more related to whoever comes next year.
Yeah.
I think he recognizes what happened right now with Callahan and what's here and what this staff is inherited needs to change. And I don't think he's throwing any particular person under the bus.
You're right.
Other than the circumstances of what they are. I think he's just ready for stability and consistency and a climate change. And I think, and if you want to read between the lines, he's talking about the success they had with Vrabel and the culture that was, and it was established, and you knew what the culture was. And it hasn't been that. And I think that is, if you want to read too much, I don't think he's throwing anybody in particular on the bus. He's at that other end of his career. He's chased the money. He's been the young guy. He's now in a leadership role. He's done all the things. Now it's about winning and winning championships. And I need to know the franchise that I've invested my life to this point, it has that same vision. And I think that's where the frustration comes from Big Jeff. He just wants to win. At this point, he's got the money. And he could trade, believe he's going to get more money, but he's here. And if I'm here, I want to win, and I want to have a culture of winning, and somebody that's going to establish that. That's how I took it.
Yeah, Jeffrey Simmons' quote said, "We've got 5 games left this season. We've got to figure it out. We've got a lot of self-reflecting to do. We got to figure out whoever's going to be whoever's going to be head coach and lead this football team." I don't know if he followed this up in that same statement or this is a statement before, but this is according to PK's quote, "We need somebody who's going to lead this football team. The culture and everything need to be better around here." This is from Jeffrey Simmons on the next head coach.
Yeah, and to Dr. Dyson's point,
by the way,
like Jeffrey Simmons has been here for the good times.
Yeah,
he's been here on this team's run to the AFC Championship, the number 1 seed in the AFC, the AFC South titles, all of that, and now he's playing through arguably the worst of times for this franchise. So it is a different perspective. I will say to Michigan's question about identity, I feel like there is a disconnect between what this team wants to be and what it has the personnel to actually be. I feel like this offense was designed to live in 11 personnel and throw the ball around.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They just don't have the guys to do it. So do you reshape the identity, or do you let guys grow into the identity that you've set forth?
And just worry about the identity next year.
And that's why I think the play calling was somewhat inconsistent, because they did some little wrinkles with the tight ends and the extra linemen in, and it was working. But he reverted back to the 11 personnel, 3 wides and a back. And it was kind of that same mentality of, here we go, here is our offense.
Right.
And that's, again, they've inherited this, whether that's their philosophy or not. I mean, and everybody, they share, these coaches recycle, they hire and fire each other, and they go with each other. It's like a brotherhood. And so there's a lot of commonalities in all the offenses more than there are differences. But the philosophy and how you attack, that is where the differences are in the philosophies. Now, the plays, most of the plays are going to be somewhat similar. It's football. The fundamentals of the game, they're not changing too much. But if you look at what they did in that first drive, that wasn't their typical. That was atypical. That was was that 23 personnel, 3 tights, where you called 3 tights and 2 backs, so
they had 2 backs on the field.
Yeah, so that's 23 personnel.
Yeah.
So my point is, that is something they hadn't really done in the middle of the field. They've done around the goal line, of course, but, that was something a little bit different.
All right, let's go to Eric. Eric, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Guys, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
We did. How about you?
Oh, it was fantastic. Guys, I tell you what, it's bad, like you said, after the first drive. It seemed like the only cheers, excitement, and enthusiasm we had was the halftime Wiener Dog show. And probably the only maybe we should add Homer the Wiener Dog in the backfield. Maybe it'll generate a lot more excitement for our offense. But anyway, guys, also the other really frustrating thing was the penalties. Both teams had 10 penalties, 20 penalties by the end of the third quarter. I left at the end of the third quarter. That's how bad it was, guys. And even more frustrating was on several of the calls. It was like they were kept having conferences, whatever the call was. That was frustrating. And then after we wound up with the field goal, Jacksonville on the first drive, and I thought I heard Coach Mack in the booth with Taylor Sawyer, so I guess it was 3rd and long. They thought it might have been an incomplete pass, but then they scored a touchdown. And the very next play on the fumble, where we fumbled the kick, they thought that his shoulder was on the ground. I thought I heard them say that in the booth. And then they scored a touchdown off of that. And then, of course, later on in the game, we get a rough in the punter call, which that was a horrible call. The guy barely touched him. He did a fantastic acting job, and they scored a touchdown after that, and that pretty much was the ball game. And again, we probably don't win the game, but it's just frustrating when you have stuff like that just goes against you, stuff like those type of plays. Guys, I'll get off. Talk to you again soon. Tighten up, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, first off, LaQuint Allen just launches his whole body into Chimere DK to just lodge that ball. But I do think that was a fumble. Like, I mean, I don't think his shoulder or anything hit the ground. Now, we have the benefit of different TV angles than what they have
The replays.
up there and the replays and stuff, and they may not be getting the right replays in a stadium. I've been in that stadium. Sometimes they don't play the right replays.
On purpose, sometimes.
Yeah, right. Sometimes on purpose. So, I thought that it came loose. But, I mean, he is right. I mean, that also changed the whole momentum of the game, too, and it just seemed like they couldn't recover. Where after the last few weeks, one of the things you could say about this team, whether it's a penalty, a turnover, or whatever, they seem to bounce back.
Yeah. The key word is always inclusive. It has to be indisputable. I think that's the gray area when you talk about replay. If you're going to make a change, it has to be indisputable. And so I don't know. Again, we can debate that replay all day long because it's still human error. It's still what my eye see compared to your eye see versus the angle. Did your knee touch before the ball? But if you're going to make a change from the human aspect of it, it has to be indisputable.
Yeah, I would also mention, I mean, to Eric's point, something we talked about a little bit last week is where the Titans are at right now. At now 1-11. I'm not going to count on them getting the best officiating crew, the best ranked guys from the league week in and week out. When things don't go your way like this, and there was very little that went right for the Titans today, I feel like it compounds things and it makes things feel worse than they really are. There was nothing going right. And that's kind of where I sit. It's just like the bottom line. Man, nothing was working today.
Nothing was.
No breaks.
So I'll tell you what is working, our phone lines. 615-737-1045 is the number. We got Andy, Jack, Mike, Brian, Angry Man, another Jack, and Don. We'll talk to all of them coming up next. This is the Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 104.5 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. The Tennessee Titans started off with an 11-play, 70-yard drive that ended in a field goal, and that was their last time they scored. They lost 25-3 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Following that 11-play drive, they had 3 plays for -5 yards, 3 plays for 7, 3 plays for 7, 7 plays for 26, 3 plays for 9, 5 plays for 17, 4 plays for 4 yards, 9 plays for 12 yards, and 8 plays for 41 yards. A demoralizing loss. I think that's how you put it earlier, Dr. Kevin Dyson. I think that is the way to put it. They were demoralized, brutalized, all the eyes.
Yeah,
you could say.
It was ugly. It was rough.
It was ugly. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Andy. Andy, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Good evening, guys. I'm glad to hear you had a good Thanksgiving. And Zach and Sony, congratulations on your big win and a really great Iron Bowl.
Yeah, thank you.
We did so much.
Yes, that was all us.
Yeah, they did. Dr. Dyson, good evening.
How you doing?
Guys, I'm wonderful, thank you, and always a pleasure to talk to you. This was so embarrassing as a National Football League team, as a professional team. Nothing was good. Nothing was good. It was humiliating, the fact that was on television. I'm trying to find I don't know if I've got all the words to say how terrible this felt to watch. Maybe Diego Pavia's performance against my Vols last night is tinging me. But what can you, when you play that poorly, from the quarterback position on the offensive, the O-line was awful. It really frustrates me when the scrappy stuff starts. I understand frustration. But to me, it's even more embarrassing when you're playing like garbage and you start doing all that swinging of hands. And Dr. Dyson, I know you've never been on a team this bad, but I was wondering if you could speak on that. Again, I understand taking out frustrations. But then in a humiliating manner like they did today, it's just too much. And Stoney, I'm probably still mad about my parlay. Hell, it was dead the same night when A&M decided to crap the bed.
Oh, that took everybody out.
Yeah.
Hang in there.
I think it took out a lot of people. Thank you, guys. Have a great night and a great week. Look forward to hearing y'all this week.
Appreciate it, Andy. Can I add on to his question? Because it's kind of a question that me and Stoney were kind of batting around our opinions on it. Was not only the fights that happened and the personal fouls and all that stuff that resulted, but what do you think about the players that still celebrate like the sacks or good plays when you're down this much?
18-3.
Well, okay, we'll start with the fights and the emotions.
Okay.
One, it's a rival, right? I mean, Auburn, when you talk about Auburn and Alabama game, they really are just playing for the rivalry at that point, right?
Yeah.
They're not playing to go to the playoff or anything else like that. So would you be mad with them for fighting and hugging and everything? No, they're fighting to win games, right? That's the emotions that comes with competition. And if you want to win, those emotions are going to come out. Now, Big Jeff said, I got to be smarter.
Yep.
But sometimes a man's got to be a man. Like if a man spits in my face, well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And if a man hovers over me when I'm laying down, he says, boo-boo. Well,
you got those.
Something's
It's on.
It's on. Something's got to be said. Something's got to be done because I'm still a grown man out here, right?
I know that's a pride thing.
That's a pride thing, right? Yeah. And so that's going to happen. And I think some of the penalties was effort and trying to make a play, spark, trying to do something. Now, some of the idiotic things was there at the end. You get ejected, you swung on a guy and push his head. That's a little too extra, and you let your emotions get the best of you. But for the most part, that is what it is. Yeah. Now, the other part of your question, which was
the celebrations.
When you're not having a good season and you're trying to, you gotta have ways to motivate you, and you gotta be you. You gotta have your energy. And one, sacks don't come on every play. Touchdowns don't come often. Those type of things. And I got to still be me and have that energy and still have that kind of swagger about me. Now, conventional thinking would say, bruh, you're down 2 scores in the fourth quarter. chill out.
Yeah.
But I'm also in a situation where how many sacks I have on the year or how many touchdowns, whatever it might be. So I kind of go both ways with that.
Gotcha.
I get your point, but I also know the psyche of a athlete and how fragile that is, and finding positivity and motivation in something. You got to do whatever it takes for you to keep that edge going. And I think that's a lot of times when you see guys do that. It's more facade than anything.
Yeah.
It's kind of to keep that energy going.
Yeah, I was just watching. I think it was Cody Barton got a sack and celebrated.
No, it's Simmons.
Was it Simmons?
Yeah.
And I had acknowledged in the studio,
Because
like
Jackson started screaming at you.
I feel like like an old man shaking my fist from my front porch. Get off my stoop, kids. But
Yeah.
like, I'm watching the game. They're down 18-3, and I'm just like, just go to work. But at the same time, I'm talking to Zach and I'm talking to Jackson. I'm thinking, you're down 18-3, so don't you want to try and provide a spark? So, just curious. We were just kind of talking it out. Like, what does it say about the mentality of the team that they're doing that?
Yeah.
I vote old man Stoney. Like, I mean, that's what you are. You're just an old man.
I am an old man.
You're just a hater.
I like working puzzles and, eating raisons. So I am an old man.
But I get it, though. I get it. Perceptionally, I get it. It looks like, it's bigger than them. It's not about that, man. It really is just trying to keep that energy. And again, to your point, even I'm trying to give everybody some energy. I just made a big play. Let's go make some more big plays. Anything can happen. You know?
Right. All right, coming up next, more of the phones will go to Jack, Mike, Brian, Angry Man, Jack, Don, and Larissa. This is the Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 104.5 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical problems, and they can protect your home too. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Dr. Kevin Dyson, Scholar Stoney Keeley, and I'm the professor, Zach Lyons. Tennessee Titans were demoralized, brutalized, victimized. I picked up the third eyes there. Victimized by the Jacksonville Jaguars. They fall 25-3. Their 7th home loss in a row this season. 11 home losses in a row the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, and Andy called in, had a couple of good ings for him too. Embarrassing, humiliating. So we got all kinds of adjectives to throw around for this performance today.
There you go. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Jack. Now, there's 2 Jacks on the line. There's a Jack that's been holding on for 58 minutes.
Dang.
So if you're the Jack that's only been on the line for 22 minutes, I'm not going to you, but I am going to the Jack that's been on the line for 58 minutes. Jack, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Thank you. A few minutes ago, y'all were talking about an old man. Well, I am an old man, and let me give you my old man's opinion. The Titans, to be honest, are not. They're beyond bad. They're pathetic. I'll say this: if I was coaching an NFL team and I was preparing to play against the Titans, all week long, every day, I would get up and announce, "We're going to pass the ball every down. We're not going to run it, a play. We're going to pass every down." And the Titans, knowing this, still couldn't stop them. They're the worst I've ever seen covering passes. When's the last time you saw a defensive back for the Titans knock a pass down because he was so close to the man, that he could reach around and knock it down? It just doesn't happen. These receivers are wide open. And then, of course, that includes the linebackers, too. They have to cover. Let me say this. They will have the number 1 pick again because they are definitely the worst team in the NFL. And the worst coach team, by the way, as well. I'm not sure they could beat Vanderbilt. They are an embarrassment to the state of Tennessee. That's all I've got to say. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks, Jack. Let's talk about the defense because, we only had 2 episodes to cover too this week because the holidays and there were basketball games that we had to carry and stuff too. We never really got around talking about the defense last week being kind of a sieve to Jack Smith and Jigba. This time it was Parker Washington, Jacoby Myers in back-to-back plays with the dagger concepts. And there was nobody in their areas. Like, they were so wide open.
Yeah.
And then Jacoby Myers catches on Kevin Winston. Now, Kevin Winston did not have a great day today. He started out looking pretty good. Then he just kind of flamed out pretty quick. But to what he said he was playing an entirely new position today. And there were a lot of packages where there were 3 safeties on the field because I guess they don't trust their other corners that they have on their roster and kind of put them in a situation where Denard Wilson kind of had to squeeze blood from a stone.
Well, didn't their other corners just get here on like Wednesday or something?
Most of them did, it feels like.
They're churning these guys this season.
So, talk about the defense real quick, Stoney, and what you saw, what you've seen really the last 2 weeks where they have faced 2 teams that know how to create and attack space.
Yeah, so, and really, hats off to good offensive coordinators, too, that designed plays to capitalize on matchups when they get the ones that they want. You got Jackson Smith and Jigba one-on-one with Amani Hooker last week. That was a favorable matchup. Today, they had situations. It was like a scissors concept down the field, then crossing right in front of Kevin Winston Jr. with Brenton Strange, the tight end that scored a touchdown. Mm-hmm. You're putting Kevin Winston, who is in a position that he's not familiar with, according to that quote. You're putting him in a position to read what's happening in the end zone, and it's not even that advantageous of a matchup to begin with because they put the guy with size on him too, the guy that had length on Winston Jr. So that's really good play design there. You mentioned the dagger concepts, and I'm sure Dr. Dyson can speak to this better than you and I can, but it seemed like they were attacking zones with that clear out route to kind of pull the safety back to cause conflict, running the dig route inside underneath it at the empty space, and that was open 3 plays in a row. And Jacoby Myers scores a touchdown on a similar concept that's just a little condensed because they're right there on the goal line. It felt like today Liam Cohen had a sense of where the open space was going to be. He called for concepts that would attack it. And Jacoby Myers, Brenton Strange, Trevor Lawrence, they executed upon those concepts, and they made the Titans pay for it.
Yeah, I'll let me get back to the phone calls. And I think when you think about concepts like that, when they continue to work, there's something on film that was attractive to them, they took advantage of. And if they said, if we can hold up protection, you 5, you hold up. And I think there was a couple times they had 6 in, but most of the time it was 5. If y'all just hold up, we're going to hit these. And they sure enough, they did. And it's high, low. And then we were talking about off air a lot of times with safeties, and he was talking about nobody's in vicinity. Well, zone, it's like a man zone. Like you're playing an area. You're not necessarily playing a man. So,
right.
And for us receivers, you're thinking, I'm trying to find the area where the least amount of bodies in the area. So
and they did a good job at that.
They did a good job at that. And so the whole concept was that we're talking about is sometimes I'm the decoy. I'm trying to occupy the safety or maybe even 2 safeties, depending on how you run it. So, because they got to respect the vertical first. They got whatever that is, they got to respect it. Because if I drive on something short, I leave that gap open. Now it's a bigger play. And so that they just high-load them a lot to death today. And I think whatever they saw on film formationally, they knew this is where they're going to be.
And to be honest, I mean, we're talking about Cam Ward's bad day. Trevor Lawrence, if it wasn't for those guys being pretty wide open, we'd be talking about Trevor Lawrence having a bad day because, I mean, he still was only 59% completion percentage. Yeah. And that's his season average, by the way, as well, on top of that. So he met his season average coming into the game, and he threw some pretty terrible, ugly balls as well. And if it hadn't been, listen, obviously Denard Wilson didn't have the players that he originally went into the season with. And he doesn't have the players where he feels comfortable running a more man press coverage, which we know he would prefer to run. And so when you got guys that are Marcus Harris, who played majority of his time outside in the preseason and in the offseason, then moves in the slot and looked really good in the slot, is now back on the outside. Then you got Darrell Baker Jr. Then you got Kevin Winston kind of as your third corner, I guess is kind of what he's saying. You got a couple of guys that just can't match up with some of these other players. And unfortunately, Liam Cohen found the weaknesses, and the receivers did too, in the zone to create those big plays and
communication
games.
Is crucial. You're talking about guys that are just now playing with each other. If there's a besides offensive line and that communication from tackle to tackle, the communication is secondary, especially when you're playing zone, is crucial because you have to have eyes all the way across the other side of the field to know this guy may be coming from way from over the other side of numbers to your area. And so there's a lot of communication that has to take place, and it pre-snap. Like, hey, we got 3-3 over here. Keep your eyes on 3 and 2. They're gonna cross it, like to run this. And that in itself, and if you're not getting after the quarterback or you're not putting that pressure on him or you allow him time to sit back there, most of these quarterbacks, as a matter of fact, all of them are good enough. They're going to hit them zones. They're going to hit them pockets. And these receivers, I mean, they had 6'5", 6'3", like they're going. It's pitch and catch at that point, and that's where you try to take advantage of zones. Now, the convention say, well, we line up in man to man. Okay. Now you pick your poison. Now I'm running crossers, pick routes. I'm running vertical. I'm 6'5" versus you're 5'10". Now it's a different ball game. So you have to be able to mix up coverages and communicate. And I think today there was a lack of maybe some communication, but also just being able to get in the face of Lawrence, so you didn't have the time to really dissect it.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go to Mike out in Old Hickory. Mike, you're on with Titans Talkback.
How you doing, guys?
Doing good. How are you?
Pretty good. Watched the disaster today, and quite frankly, I'm kind of glad. That keeps us in the catbird seat for the number 1 pick, and New Orleans, I think, right now is our only rival. And so let's not do anything stupid. Let's go the rest of the season making sure the second stringers get out on the field and get as much experience as possible to protect Cam. Here's what I saw today on today's game with the TV announcers, not the radio announcers. they kept talking about Tennessee. They're having a bad game, bad day, bad season. And then they kept saying, but they got a bad offensive line. And they said if they could replace that, and they started saying that in the second half. And then they brought up Mike Vrabel. They kept talking about Mike Vrabel, who left Tennessee, went up to New England, and started replacing their offensive line. And guess what? Protecting a quarterback up there, I never even heard of. Have you guys ever heard of that quarterback up there in New England? He's got.
I can't agree with you on that one, Mike. I know all about, but I watch a lot of college football, but I know a lot about Drake May.
Yeah. Well, anyway, guess what? They are now number 1 seed in the AFC. So Vrabel went up there and did it because he got an offensive line to protect a good quarterback. We need an offensive line to protect Cam Ward. So I hope we just don't blow it and we take that number 1 pick and turn it into a bunch of trade picks in the offseason to actually build a team.
Hey, I agree. They still got a long ways to go and build a team. I do want to talk about the offensive line real quick because I do think this was probably – I know this is going to be really crazy to say, but I think since the Raiders game, they're probably worst collective game in the pass protection. But there's a lot of plays where Cam Ward's really not helping them.
Oh, I was about to say, I saw it a little bit different. There was some times,
so you
I'm glad you said that because there was several times I was like, do something like run, escape, throw it away because he
doesn't like to step up into the pocket. Specifically, this game, there was a lot of times where he could have stepped up in the pocket because there was something to hold, that was holding up, and then he'll run out or run to one of the tackles, and that makes it really easy for them.
And just fall off,
or he just holds onto the ball too long. I thought. Like I said, this to me was one of Cam Ward's worst games. And I'm not saying that the offensive line was mistake-free or anything because there was a play where it looked like it was a Tajay Spears run. I'm not sure if that was the choice, if that was Cam Ward's choice or not. But J.C. Latham was under the impression that it was a pass.
Yeah.
Like he didn't even get to his guy because he went to do a pass set. And that guy, he went right between him and Josh Allen Hines went right between him and Kevin Zeitler.
In communication.
And then there was a time where J.C. Latham's getting pushed back, but Cam Ward had either Tony Pollard or Tajay Spears open. He didn't even look over there, and that's his only outlet. Mm-hmm. And he just held onto the ball too long until he eventually got rid of it, but he got creamed doing it.
That's why I said I saw a little bit different because I wanted to make sure because they only gave up 3 sacks, but I thought of those 3, it really wasn't on the offensive line.
Yeah.
I tend to agree. Yeah.
I mean, I'd have to look at all 22. I also don't know what the coverage was like down the field and who was open and who wasn't, right? Like, we don't even get to see that.
There wasn't, because I looked, there really wasn't anybody open, but like you said, dump it off or throw it away.
Right.
Because he sat back there, and I'm like, then you do something, because he had time to do something. I'm not saying
no runs, right? Nothing. I mean, like, we praised how his decisive decision-making and doing quarterback runs, and then, like I said, this was not the team we've seen the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that some of that starts with the players as well. Like, some of that falls onto the players' shoulders.
Absolutely.
I thought it was particularly discouraging, too. There were a few plays in this game that not only did he not step up in the pocket, not get rid of the ball or take off running or do something a little more decisive, but he was actively running into the pressure, like running out towards the tackle. Well, if you get outside the tackle, then there's nothing between you and the edge rusher as the quarterback. He's just going to come off that block, and there's nothing the tackle can do to help you. And I felt like he did that on a couple of plays today. We've seen him do it before this season. I don't know if that's just a rookie thing to build the tendency to avoid that or what, but I think it's a component of his game that he has the awareness. You can tell, like, he has the feel, but you've got to have that internal clock to say, I've got to get rid of this ball or make a move.
There were a few times where you joked, like, Stoney said that if I was J.C. Latham, I'd be like telling Cam, throw the dang ball. Like, you can only hold up. Holding up for 5 seconds is pretty good. No matter what the outcome is, you're only really expected to hold it for like 3 to 4 seconds, right?
That's it.
Yeah. And he's got to get rid of the ball. I think some of it also stems from these pass protection issues that they're always in shotgun, which doesn't really buy a lot of time. You can almost pin your ears back on this offense anyway, almost every down. But then not only is he in shotgun, he's still drifting further out behind the pocket. Like, his steps continue to go backwards, even though you're already in shotgun, and really needs to be snap, plant, throw kind of deal. And because he's going a little bit further back in the pockets on some of these plays to maybe get a better view of the field, well, he's kind of hanging out his offensive line to dry a little bit. And that's not every play.
No.
And listen, J.Z. Latham had some bad plays.
Yeah.
Dan Moore had some bad plays. Corey Levin, like all these guys had
Everybody
bad plays
did.
today, except for maybe Peter Skronsky,
Yeah.
which is the typical, saying around here. But at the same time, a veteran quarterback helps their offensive line. And right now, he's a rookie, but he would help his offensive line if he made quicker decisions and stepped up in the pocket more. In my
It
opinion.
also helps a rookie quarterback timing patterns. They don't run a whole lot of timing routes.
No.
You don't see like catch, hitch, throws, slants. You don't see a whole lot of that. I haven't yet. You hadn't seen like 3-step, throw the curl, comebacks. We've seen slower developing type plays. And I don't know if that's, I think that was Callahan's design, but I don't know at this point. We saw him throw a couple slants a few weeks ago, a couple he missed behind. I think one of them being picked because he threw it behind. But that would help a lot too, just being able to catch and throw, rock and throw, get out his hands, make him make some of these throws, get him out his hands. Because he's a pocket quarterback. He's not a runner. He wants to be back there. He wants to develop. He wants to make those plays, but you got to help him help himself sometimes too.
Long developing routes with guys that are having trouble creating separation with a offensive line that can't hold up for 5 seconds is probably a recipe for disaster.
To Mike's point, New England did a fantastic job of flipping their offensive line from one of the worst units in the league a season ago to one of the better units this.
Doug Marrone.
They approached it through free agency, through the draft, and through the coaching staff. Doug Marrone is an asset for them. So it can be done. I think the discouraging
and their
thing
scheme is pretty good.
Yeah, the discouraging thing is that the Titans have invested heavily in the offensive line in off seasons past, and we're still having issues here. So
it's
something
bad
to sort out.
Yeah, definitely something to sort out. All right, coming up next, we're going to go to Angry Man Jack, Mike, Larissa when we come back. This is the Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 104.5 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Before we head to the phones, let's check out today's final sack numbers tonight. Thanks to Kevin Winston, Big Jeff, and Jihad Ward. The Titans had 3 sacks versus the Jacksonville Jaguars and $300 to the already $3,100, bringing that total to $3,400 for Kroger's donation to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee. Every time the Titans sack the opposing team's quarterback, Kroger donates $100 Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee from Kroger. Through its Zero Hunger, Zero Waste plan, Kroger is committed to creating communities free of hunger and waste. Kroger is the official tailgate headquarters of the Tennessee Titans. Try Boost by Kroger Plus for free pickup and delivery plus 2 times the fuel points with your membership. Start your free trial today at Kroger.com. Pay as low as 1 cent per gallon when you redeem fuel points by using your shopper's card. Every 100 points gets you 10 cents off per gallon. Exclusions apply. Visit Kroger.com for details. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Angry Man. Angry Man, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Hey, what's up, fellas?
Hey,
it's me again. I just want to let y'all know I'm changing my name from Angry Man to Disgusted Man. I'm cool. I'm not upset with the loss, though, because, you know what I'm saying, we got so many holes on this team. We need a number 1 pick so we can get some, trade it and get some good picks in the draft, and if we trade out of the first pick. But the way we played and the way we be losing, I want to. If we're gonna lose, that's fine. But I want to see progress. You know what I'm saying? So to lose, to the way they play today, it's like they set football back about 75 years. And this comment right here, I'm gonna hang up and let y'all do y'all thing. I know you got some other calls to get to. This comment is for all the Titans fans listening to me right now on the radio. Y'all need to do what I'm gonna do. You know how when Halloween come and Christmas once it come and go, you pack all your decorations up and stuff and put in the closet to next year. Go ahead and pack up, do like I'm doing. Pack all your Titans gear up, put it away for next year. They look bad. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, Angry Man. I mean,
Disgusted Man.
Disgusted Man.
Changed his name.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Disgusted Man.
be
So
respectful.
far, we got demoralizing, brutalizing, victimizing, embarrassing, pathetic, which is beyond bad, disaster, and now
Humiliating.
disgusted and humiliating. That was the other E.
Yeah.
So a lot of different. I mean, we are really getting the thesaurus out to describe this loss today.
And we're about to write some poetry while we're at it, too. I don't know. I think to his point, though, he said, I want to see progress. And I think that is what was so disheartening about this loss is that we all felt like they were making progress. And then it was just completely derailed. To me, this felt like 1 step forward, 8 steps back.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how else to really say it other than I'm sitting there watching the game, and then they show shots of the crowd, and there are people in the 300 section still, and we're in the 4th quarter. Like, guys, come down from the 300 section.
It's okay.
If they're not allowing you to come down from the 300 section, Tennessee Titans got a problem because they should be wanting you at least to fill up the lower bowl a little bit more. There is no reason to be freezing your butt off. And kind of speaking on that, because a lot of people have talked about, they showed Amy Adams drunk and she's being shown something on the phone and she's laughing. And they're like, oh, I can't believe she's laughing during this loss. Like, maybe she's just laughing to stop from crying. But she's also, I know how these suites work. She's all bundled up. And I'm thinking, if you're all bundled up, close the door, close the windows. I mean, like, you have heat. You at least have the benefit of heat. You can use that heat. That's what I took away from that shot.
Well, sometimes you like some fresh air.
That's why people do it. They like to feel like they're still part of the game, because when you close those windows, you can't hardly hear it and the noises and the breeze.
That's probably a good thing for her, though, maybe not to hear the booze.
Right now.
Now, listen, she may not even be paying attention. I don't know, but I'm just thinking it was like I left this morning from doing the pregame show, and I'm walking and my feet are numb, and I'm wearing 2 socks and insulated boots, and somehow my feet are still numb. My toes are still numb. Like, it's insane.
And she definitely hearing it, because I think that has something to do with why we got an interim coach right now.
Right. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go to Jack, the other Jack 2.0. You're on with Titans Talkback.
So I was listening to Coach Mack and Taylor like I always do instead of the TV feed. And I'm listening along, and I keep thinking something's weird. And then it dawned on me. No crowd noise.
Yeah.
It sounded like they were calling Masters or a golf. You ever listen to a ball game on the radio and you don't hear the crowd in the background? That told me everything I needed to know, and I feel for these players. Granted, maybe they're not all Pro Bowlers or what have you, but by God, they're all NFL quality. And if they've been victimized by all of the bad decisions that ownership and management has made. And that's all I got to say about it.
I would have to say that, decisions have, cause and effect and all that kind of stuff. And right now they're paying for the sins of other people's decisions.
Absolutely.
And that sucks.
Well, I think what we lose sight of is consistency all around. I think there has been a lot of turnover even at the administrative side of things too, let alone coaches and players. And I think if we talked about this before, if you look at some of the more successful franchises of recent, there has been a level of consistency. Now, what happens with those organizations and why you're seeing some of the things happen ongoing with the Chiefs is people start plucking from your administration and your staff because they want to touch the cloak of greatness. It's working over there. Let me grab you the next best exec you have and make him the next GM or what have you. And that's, let me grab your assistant coach, make him a coordinator. Let me grab your coordinator, make him a head coach. And then you start pulling, and then they start declining because they get that inconsistency. I think that is what has been missing is consistency. How many GMs are we on in the last 7-8 years?
This will be our third GM.
So, yeah. and they're all probably good in their own right, or you wouldn't have been put in that position. You don't get hired if you're not expected or have those skill sets. But I'm saying that to say we're on the third philosophy of a decision maker when it comes to coach and players in the last 7 years. So what do you want? What do you expect at this point?
I would add, and to speak to Jack's call, I don't know what y'all's social media experience is like these days. Jack's the one that called into the show. There's a lot of people that share the sentiment that he has. I feel like that is a prevalent feeling in this fan base right now. It's
tough because you don't, like, even when Mike Vrabel was losing, you kind of knew that it's like, but we know what we are with Mike Vrabel. Yeah. And I think when you can't be bad and boring. You can't be bad and no identity. Right. And right now, I would agree with the caller who said they were beyond bad, and they're beyond bad right today. They were beyond bad, and the problem is that we still do not have an identity. Yeah. And they were asked about it. Was it either this week or last week? They were asked about it, and Mike McCoy said they can't have an identity because they can't run the football. And then, that same day, Cam Ward's asked and said, well, our identity is physicality. Yeah. And I don't know, today didn't really feel like they had that physicality to them. And so
the first drive they did.
Yeah, the first drive they did, right? They were running the ball. Mm-hmm. They were doing everything that they said that they couldn't do, right? They were running the football and they were being physical. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, Chimere Dike makes that fumble, which is a good special teams play by LaQuint Allen, by the way.
For sure.
And that I don't really, when you have a 201-pound missile just coming straight to the ball before you even hit the ground, I don't know what else you can do. Yeah. But when you lose that identity or let that identity get taken away from you, which it feels like they let that identity slip through their fingers, that's how you end up with games like today. Yeah. And it's just tough. It's a tough watch. Let's go to Larissa. Larissa, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Hi, guys. Happy day to all of you. Or, actually, happy day. I'm not going to say or. You and I were, when you went around the room on Wednesday, we were in that same little teacup rowing because we were believing they were going to win. And this was kind of a whole wait a minute, do what now game. I mean, if anyone has ever seen the movie Rush Hour with Chris Tucker, and there's a scene in the movie that he got kicked in the face, and he went cross-eyed, and his hands went both ways and said, "Which one of you done kicked me?"
Oh, yeah.
that's what this game was like. I mean, the motivation is there. And, you know, the Titans fans, they have every right. It's legit, the frustration and the passion, because positive or negative, everyone just wants them to win. But my question is for you also, Dr. Mason. Is there any time a player can say, and I don't know who's making the calls at, you know, up in the booths and so on, but when you can just kind of go, no, we're not going to do that, and make an executive decision and be like, that doesn't even sound right. Because it seemed like so many, it was almost like Keystone Cop-ish. But, you know, keep the faith. There will be a time, guarantee you, this team is going to soar. It's going to completely ascend, and as usual, you can hear my dog. And, you know, it's going to be fantastic. And those fans that are really sour now, they're going to go up and go, remember when we stunk? Remember when we really, really stunk? Because it's going to get better, I'm sure. It has to. I'm going to hang up and listen.
There you go. Thank you for the call. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, if you got a personality like your co-host, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because Blaine is very intelligent, has a good sense of what's going on, and may say, no, we're not running that, we're going to adjust. It doesn't happen a whole lot. What happens is sometimes since everything's done digitally, a quarterback may be like, he can do the whole thing like, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
And he calls his own play. And that might happen. But for the most part, the players play, coaches coach. I think more players is like, hey, they're being paid to make these calls. I'm being paid to execute. And so they do it. But it has happened, and it does happen.
Well, I know Matt Hasselbeck back in the day when the Pro Bowl used to mean something. He was telling a story in an interview before the Pro Bowl how he would always, like, Mike Holmgren would get mad at him because he would look back and be like, oh, I can't hear you, and they call his own play.
Yeah.
Even if he could hear him.
Yeah, even if he could hear him.
He could hear. He was just calling his own play.
Yeah.
Well, I think he has the bearing to do so.
Yeah. And I guess I get to that point, Matt Hasselbeck was a multi-year veteran.
These are rookies.
Asking that, you know, for Cam Ward and maybe some of these defenders on the other side, because, I mean, Cody Barton possibly could do that.
He's still young in the game as far as it's been here in the system, too.
But, like, you know, as far as new to the system and then are you calling the right plays to put in these players that you may not have chemistry with because they're new in a position to succeed? But for Cam Ward, I don't know if he's really ready for that yet. And he still needs to master the mundane.
Yes.
And I think because if you put that on his plate too, I'm just not sure this is the right time to do that. I think there will be a time to do that, with Cam Ward.
Yeah, you're talking about the youth of this team, and I think there is a silver lining to find in here is that to get to that point, that level of comfort, you have to get the reps. And right now, at the very least, we can say Cam Ward is getting some reps right now.
Getting some valuable reps, to be honest with you. I mean, I know he's getting hit. He's getting destroyed. I think he's even questioning life decisions right now because he's been getting hit so much.
Yeah.
He's been soul searching. It's kind of how the presser sounded. I haven't heard it, but that's kind of how people alluded to it. But these are reps where you're like, if I could just make it through these next 5 games, it's kind of over and we can flush it. And I can focus on my craft for next year.
And that's the other side of that, the dark side of that is, and I'll use Peyton Manning in rookie year 1998. He threw 20, 21, 22, 23 interceptions, right? And they let him experience. He was day one starter, and he went in, he experienced that, and then he became who he is, right? Became the Hall of Famer that he is. And I'm only drawing that comparison to say this. The comparison was he remained in that same offense from year 1 and year 2. His coach didn't get fired in the middle of the season, the one he had been working with. And so your hopes is, yes, I am get to work on my craft, but what am I working on? Now, you can watch film and look and go through the game plan and look at your reads and say, I should let that one go. I held on too long for this one. I need to deliver this one on back shoulder. I need to put more air on this ball. Whatever the fundamental thing that you need to work on is, but he doesn't know what he's working towards until that new coach comes in and implements whatever offense they're implementing in. So it's almost starting over in the offseason in a lot of respects, except for the actual speed of the game and playing experience, which he seems to have a grasp of now.
Yeah.
But it's still, philosophies change, the executions change, this like play call relationship with the play caller is changing. That is going to be some bumps too. You just hope it's not the learning curve that you had on your rookie year.
Yeah, the Tennessee Titans obviously have a head start on their coaching search, and they were able to interview non-NFL employees for that head coach search. So college guys, Mike McCarthy, who's not employed by any team in the NFL. And then here pretty soon, once the these last 5 games are up, there'll be certain coordinators they go ahead and interview. For the purpose of Cam Ward, they need to be thorough, but they also need to be fast. Because the faster that they can get the new head coach in, the new offensive system installed, the staff in place, the quicker that Cam Ward can get to the work on the offseason.
Senior Bowl. You want somebody so that staff could be in place for the Senior Bowl.
Because I remember with Brian Callahan's staff, they hired Denard Wilson while we were down to the Senior Bowl. They hired Tyke Tolbert while we were down to the Senior Bowl. Like, they hired staff members into the end of January, beginning of February, down at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another aspect of this too is that the roster rebuild. Like, you want the coaches in place so that you have that sort of symbiotic relationship where you know how you want to attack free agency in the draft to get guys that fit with what the new coaches want to do.
All right, coming up next, more of your phones. We've got Mike, Ivan, and others on the line. 615-737-1045 is the number. This is the Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 1045 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company. All you need, visit them online at leecompany.com. Hey, we have some minor NFL history here.
Ooh.
Max Brosmer is the first quarterback to throw 4+ interceptions in his first career start since Nathan Peterman in 2017, which was also around the Thanksgiving holidays for those that may not remember. So
things are getting weird in Minnesota, man.
Things are getting weird in Minnesota indeed, and there's a lot of people who think that the Minnesota fans who don't want Kevin O'Connell there anymore. And can I interest you in a slightly used Mike McCoy?
There we go.
Let me just say something. After going through the Mike Vrabel era and going through this and Mike Mularkey and stuff, it's like I'll take all the bad of Mike Vrabel just to have at least some games where you win.
Yeah.
Like you lose Kevin O'Connell, you're kind of in a bad situation up there in Minnesota because he's definitely well liked among the players up there, as far as I know.
He's won some games and then called some good offenses.
Yep. There you go. Let's go to Mike. Mike, you're on with Titans Talkback. If I can find the button. Mike, you're on with Titans Talkback.
It's a Jaguar fan, and I listened to the game on the radio today, and I don't know who the Taylor guy is, but he needs to learn how to say Jaguars. He keeps saying Jaguars or Jaguars. Like, come on, brother. Speak correctly. Thank you.
There you go. Mike held on for 48 minutes to get that off. That is dedication.
Sometimes, I mean, you know what? You gotta. I
so
guess.
Is it Jaguars? Because he said Jaguars, but Taylor was saying something different. I've always said Jaguars, but everybody tells me I say it wrong.
I thought it was Jaguars. Jaguars.
Jaguars.
Yeah, not Jaguars.
Not Jaguars. No. That's what it sounded like Mike said.
I know. Like, well, I mean, Jacksonville. I don't know how they pronounce things down there. I can't say
Jaguars.
Only lived in Nashville, but the phonetically correct pronunciation is Jaguars in the wildlife kingdom.
Yeah.
Like in the animal kingdom. I don't know about the football team. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how they do things. The precedent they set down in Jacksonville, maybe it is Jaguars, but in the animal kingdom, it's Jaguars.
Duck on the YouTube chat saying Jaguars.
Yeah, that's right. Duck is right.
Jaguars.
It is not.
Let's just
Jaguars.
do this for the rest of the show. Just don't say it.
The pronunciation right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like he adds, the car company is Jaguar. Was that a good English accent?
No, that was terrible. But I appreciate the.
Yeah, I don't know what accent that was.
I don't either. All right, let's go to Cedric. Cedric, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Listen, the correct pronunciation is the Jacksonville Jackasses. How about that?
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Got him.
Yeah. Damn Jacksonville. I remember 1999 when we whooped that tail 3 times in a row. Now, anyway, man, listen, Cam Ward took a step back today, and the young teams have to learn how to win. Cam had some success the last 2 weeks. I felt like watching the game today. I haven't watched all 22, but it was a lot of throwing off of his back foot today. The game plan, I felt like, was sound. We had guys running wide open. We didn't complete passes. He didn't step up in the pocket and attack. I think he tried to get a little bit outside of the pocket and create that way instead of stepping up in the pocket and attacking. And, you know, you get the result that you got today. I felt like Mike McCoy, I praised him last week. You have an opportunity when it's 4th and 2 to end the half to kick the field goal. I think the PK and all those guys in the press that put pressure on him to go for it in 4th down maybe caused him to make a poor decision there. You know, at some point, man, you got to understand the feel of the game. Take those 3 points there, kick the field goal. You get the ball coming out of the half, and now you've got an opportunity to make it a 1-score game if you go down and kick the field goal. But I felt like the game plan itself was sound. Cam has just got to learn to play your technique, play fundamentally sound football, step up in the pocket, be big, attack when you attack the line of scrimmage when you're going to run. You cannot get outside of the tackles, man. Not in this league. This is the National Football League. You cannot do that, man. But all in all, man, listen, man, I'm encouraged. We got a lot of young guys. We've got to learn how to win. You know, I'll be rooting for the guys the rest of the year. I still hope we get that number 1 pick, though. I'll be honest about that. But you know, tighten up, man.
There you go. Tighten up indeed. I will say this. We haven't talked about it, but I agree with said. take the points at the end of the half. I was screaming about it in the studio when we were watching it. I know you kind of echo the same sentiment in that this team had shown you about 3 or 4 drives before that they are incapable of being in sync. Like, this offense was not in sync clearly all day today. And I think that he should have taken the and I know, listen, Cam Ward threw a catchable ball. It was still an off-target ball, but it was catchable. But I look at this team and I'm thinking I would take the points at the half. I would have taken the clock all the way down, called the timeout because you had 3 timeouts, and I would have kicked the field goal, and I would have gone the half just with 6 points, and you get the ball back coming out of the second half, and maybe you built some momentum. But then you gave the ball back, a failed 4th down conversion, gave the ball back, then you have penalties. One of those penalties, definitely don't think that's roughing the passer. Then that leads to the scuffle in the inside where someone throws a punch at Arden Key. He responds. Another penalty there. But that penalty gave him a chance, the field goal. And like you just can't do that. I felt, to me, I would have gone for the field goal in that situation.
I think that was one of the situations where he may have been influenced by everybody else and not his own instincts. As the first time around, you go down, you got the 10-play drive, you're moving, and everybody's go for it, you're getting booed and all that kind of stuff because you didn't go for it and you get the points. I think that second time around, I think it was almost influenced by all that, as opposed to doing what statistically was probably the smartest thing to do and run, like you said, run the clock down and get the points. And that's a different type of game at that point because as it worked out, you wouldn't imagine they were going to get points anyway with the time left, but with the penalties and everything else, it just worked out. And that's a dramatic shift, even though you got the ball back. So deflating.
Yeah.
On the running the clock down thing, how many times have we seen offenses being left with too much time on the clock in the modern NFL?
Yeah.
Like, to get into field goal range, I feel like we've talked about it on this show before.
Yeah.
Just to get to field goal range, like, too often we think scoring touchdown, but just to get into field goal range, you only need 25, 30 seconds to in a handful of plays. To me, that was the more egregious error there, is not running that clock down and leaving Jacksonville the time, regardless of the penalties, leaving Jacksonville the time to get within striking distance.
Because you're likely going to 6, you're going in there halftime 15-6.
Yeah.
That's not an insurmountable thing, but instead you go 18-3, and it just felt like you could never recover, especially coming out into the third quarter where they get the touchdown off a 71-yard drive for 15 plays that took 6 minutes, 36 seconds off the clock and go up 25-3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just feel like the momentum, it's creating momentum, being the reason your momentum swings in the other way. Like, this team just has a rough time doing that. And I'm just like, man, just take the field goal. And I'm not a big proponent of, just take the field goal. And I always joke like, oh, Mike McCoy, he's probably all excited that he gets to kick the field goal this time.
Yeah.
But like, this was the right time to do it. And he didn't. And I felt like that changed everything. Now, listen, could they still have lost 25-6? Maybe so. But momentum is a real thing in sports.
Yeah. And I think fans, and this was shared with me today, is he understood the method and the reason behind it, but from a fan's perspective, give me something exciting, give me something to cheer for.
Yeah, sure.
So, and I get that, but from a coach perspective, I'm thinking logically, and I'm thinking there's a lot of ball game left. And I think that first time I was like, yeah, that to me was the right choice. The second time I was like, I'm not so sure. And I go back, I'm not sure if he was influenced by the original choice he made on the first end.
I mean, let's play it out. They kick that field goal and they go into half 15-6. You get the ball, theoretically you score a touchdown. It's 13-15. You need one more drive to kick a field goal to pull ahead. The way your defense is playing, they're not playing that terribly in this game.
At that point, yeah.
It makes sense to think like this is the route to go.
Yep. All right, coming up next, we'll go to more of your phones. This is the Lee Company Tice Talkback right here on 104.5 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company. All you need, visit them online at leecompany.com. Available 24/7. Put Lee Company on your team. Tackle your home's heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical problems. Schedule online at leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Oh my gosh, we are delusional in the studio right now. I got a little bit of NFL history here, if you guys are ready for some NFL history. The Vikings have also been shut out for the first time since 2007.
Wow.
Dang.
A 34-0 defeat to the Packers back in 2007. Minnesota hasn't scored in its last 6 quarters, and they dropped to the Seahawks 26-0.
Seahawks team is good.
They're pretty good. Let's head to the phones. Let's go to Ivan. Ivan, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Hello, guys. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right. So I want to talk to you guys about the lack of play action. I don't know if you guys felt the same way, but I kind of felt like they went back to Callahan's game plan. Like, they just reverted back to, like, their old ways kind of thing, because their progress they were making, I don't know what, felt like they went backwards. And also kind of feel like Cam, they, like, kind of, like, drill into his head, like, he has to take whatever the defense gives him. But I feel like the defense today, they didn't give him nothing. So he's like throwing like 2 or 3 yards down the field. So I don't know what you guys think about it. Also, I think like DK and Cam, pretty much right now, they're our offense. So they have not even like a bad game, but like not good performance, like we're going to suck. So I don't know what you guys think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. Stoney was joking like Brian Callahan somewhere, drinking scotch.
Oh yeah, he's watching this game today with his feet propped up, like, haha, serves you right.
I said when you started saying that, I finished the sentence for you and said, "Oh, this all looks familiar."
You said Brian Callahan's back on the sideline.
Yeah,
today.
I thought Brian Callahan may be back on the sidelines because I'm with Ivan. Like, I just thought like this looked like a Brian Callahan team. This didn't look like the team we just saw for like the last 2 or 3 weeks. That looked competent, competitive. That kind of knew what it was doing. It may not have been perfect, but this seemed like the Brian Callahan team. Like, that's just kind of how it felt. And I know there's people in here that are now saying that, well, everybody was wrong about Cam Ward over these last 2 weeks. It's a game-by-game assessment.
Yeah.
This game does not erase the 2 or 3 games that we've seen or the progress we've seen. Did he take a step back? Sure. Is the book written on Cam Ward one way or the other? No. And that's what you have to keep reminding yourself. The book is yet to be written on Cam Ward.
And truly, too, excuse me, to be effective play-action calling team, you actually have a substantial run game.
Yeah.
A lot of times you're doing it just to occupy people and get them to respect it enough that you can do something behind them. But just doing play-action, just be doing play-action to say it's in your playbook doesn't do you any good anyway.
Yeah.
You got to be able to execute.
Yeah, I don't want to dismiss Ivan's notions here, but I feel like there are things that like we kind of have to wait and see the tape on this because you don't get to see what the coverage is, how the wide receivers are faring downfield from the broadcast angle. You kind of have to go back and see the all-22 to see what's going on there. The lack of play action, to me, I'm kind of with Dr. Dyson. Like, I don't know that what it really serves to be running it just for the sake of running it. And then as far as the taking what the defense gives him, that is kind of predicated on the coverage. And I feel like there were times that Cam held on to the ball a little too long, but I don't know from the angle that we got on the broadcast whether that was due to the coverage, the pressure getting to him or what. Yeah. There's a number of things that can impact that.
I'm so interested to watch the all-22 on this to see what Jacksonville was doing to make Cam second-guess everything and hold on to the ball.
Yeah, because it's night and day from what we saw against the Seattle Seahawks, which, in my opinion, is a better defense than what the Jacksonville Jaguars have. As far as Chimere Dike and Cam Ward being the lifeblood of the offense, it's kind of what it feels like right now because DK seems like he's the only guy hitting explosive plays in the passing game right now.
Yep.
So that is your spark. And they weren't connecting today. And guess what? The passing game didn't really get going. It was a lot of dink and dunks. I'm looking at Gunnar Helm's stat line, 7 targets today, 6 catches, 3.8 per catch. 3.8 yards per catch.
But let's not forget that fourth down play where Cam Ward pretty much got Tajay Spears killed. Dead on the field.
Dumped it off to him.
I mean, what was that? I'm so interested to watch that play because he's looking downfield. He's trying to make a play on the sideline. At the same time, I don't think giving it to Tajay Spears, who's basically 2 feet away from you while 3 defenders are coming to murder him, is the way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that goes back to decision making. And I get that he's a rookie trying to make a play, but, sometimes 4th and 18 just ain't going to go your way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough.
And, I guess that's what it all boils down to for me is this is a rookie still going through it. I mean, we did game by game. I personally did a game by game assessment of Will Levis. And there was hardly any time you could point to where he strung together 3 performances that we've seen from Cam Ward over the last 3 weeks, despite his surrounding. But this is, again, a step back in the wrong direction, right? I mean, you still have a fumble. Luckily, someone recovered it on your own team.
That's true.
And you created your own pressure. And that's not what you want to see. You shouldn't be seeing rookies taking a step backwards. It's bound to happen, right? Because they are rookies, young players. Heck, you've even seen Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and all that kind of stuff. All these guys can have bad games. You just want to see your rookie quarterback making a little bit more progress and not to have this kind of game. But we don't know how much of it is his fault, how much of it is the coverage, how much of it is the wide receivers, how much of it is the offensive line right now.
Well, let me be devil's advocate for Cam. He did have 24 completions, 9 different receivers, and if you want to be like forgiving, you can say he took what the defense gave him. He did not turn the ball over. I don't think there was maybe once or twice where there was a threat of that actually happening, and one of them wasn't even a throw. One was him, kind of throw. He should have tucked the ball away and they called it whatever. But if you go to the other side, the devil advocate side of it, he had 24 completions and no turnovers. Now, he didn't have any touchdowns. He threw the ball 36 times. He protected the football for the most part. And that's just me being devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I mean, the eye test says there really wasn't a whole lot going on there. It wasn't good. But if you're being on the other side of it and talking about progressing, that is a level of evaluation where you're saying he didn't force a throw because there was nothing there potentially, or didn't have time, or what have you, or even when he had time, he should have gotten rid of it. So you can always spin it to that, to say, well, maybe he had a better game than we were thinking. Like you said, until you actually see the tape and all that kind of stuff. Maybe he did play better. Maybe they weren't open. Maybe the schemes wasn't working. Maybe the secondary was good. I just remember a few times he held on way too long.
Yeah.
And, and I was like, what is he waiting on to get rid of the football? So, it's just me just being devil's advocate if you want to, give him the cushion to land on.
By the way, Ivan, who was talking about play action, he called or put in the chat. He goes, I felt the run game today was working, but we didn't know how to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Hence why the lack of play action was odd, since we did use it last week, even only for a few times.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Good
especially early in
distinction.
the game. I appreciate you saying that. That's absolutely true.
Yeah. And again, they also didn't lean into the run game. There's a lot to be desired from a game plan strategy.
Yeah.
Where these last 2 weeks coming out of the bye week, I haven't really questioned much about the game plan. In fact, I thought they put together coherent, cohesive game plans.
Yeah.
This time it was a mess. And it's probably just a myriad of different things, including the bad quarterback play.
And the tag word that's coming out there is rhythm.
Yeah.
And I get that. You don't have a rhythm. And it's hard to get a rhythm when you have no consistency and all the things. But I thought they established something early on to build upon that was kind of scrapped and reverted back to whatever that was, which we're saying was the old stuff, if you will.
Yeah, Zach, you got to go to the press conference at some point this week and ask that question.
What question?
About what did the Jacksonville Jaguars do to make you pivot from the
You
run
just want
game?
me to say Jaguars wrong
Jaguars.
at the press conference. All right, coming up next, we'll go to your phones. We'll also do the Eurofix look ahead. This is the Lead Company Titans Talkback right here on 104.5 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Before we do the Eurofix look ahead, let's go to Tony and this other phone call that we got coming in right now. 615-737-1045 is the number. Tony, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Hey, man.
That was on me, Tony. You're going to need to call back in. I accidentally pressed the wrong button over here. Sorry, Tony. Call back in, and I'll get you back in, Tony. That was my bad over here. I accidentally touched something I wasn't supposed to touch over here. So, Tony, please call back in. But until then, we had a question about how many plays of 12 personnel, 11 personnel, and such. According to Next Gen Stats on pro.nfl.com, 14 plays out of 12 personnel, 46 plays out of 11 personnel.
Yeah.
Again, they went back to what they weren't supposed to do. I mean, like what was working last week was a lot of more 12 personnel, and they kind of shifted the other way. So,
which goes back to what I said earlier, is like they want to be an 11 personnel, sling it around kind of team, and it's just not clicking right now.
All right, Tony's back on the line. Tony, sorry about that. You're on with Titans Talkback, and I'm keeping my hands away from the phone.
I appreciate that, man. I got a few things to say. I'm going to try to say it as quick as I can and get off the line, get out of your way. Number one is we got to come to the realization that we got bad ownership, we got bad front office as it relates to football operations, we got bad coaching, and we just got a bad team. We got to get something in place to put all these pieces together because they all got to work in unison together. Now, as far as Kim Ward is concerned, the young man is transitioning from one game to another. And when we sit up there and we watch him, I mean, we just focus on him, watching him every time they snap the ball. He's not throwing the ball until he feels like a receiver is wide open. And the thing of it is, you don't get wide open receivers in the NFL. It's a tight window. Now, but when you do get a wide receiver, you got to be sure to put the ball on him. And he's not doing that. He's standing in the pocket, holding the ball. I mean, and it's not that the line is bad. Yeah, they bad, but they give him time, most of the time, to throw the ball. But it seems like he's indecisive of who he could throw the ball to. Now, before he...
Okay. There we go.
Tony, all right?
Yeah. I did not mess with the buttons on that one on Tony.
Yeah, all right. We lost you, Tony.
Yeah, he makes some valid points.
He made some good points.
He does. He makes some valid points. And I think, again, we're given the crutch of rookie and the experience. And I think whatever's going on this year with the team, the experience, as long as he's processing it and takes whatever he's learned to year two, is invaluable. He wouldn't. That's why now quarterbacks, especially that are drafted as high as him, are coming in and playing because he's going to get the experience. Whereas before, the general thing was you learn under a veteran for a year or two, get acclimated, and you go. And I'll go two Hall of Fame quarterbacks from my era, and probably two of the better ones to ever do it. Peyton Manning, number one pick overall. Tom Brady, 200 and whatever pick, 220, 221.
Something like that.
And he sat behind who was trending towards Hall of Fame. Drew Bledsoe was trending towards Hall of Fame, sat behind him, learned the game, whereas Peyton Manning was thrown in day one. And look at their trajectory of the career. I think sometimes it's the personality of the individual, but I think now we live in this instant gratification culture where you draft number one, it's your job until it's not, and I think that's where Cam is. So if that's the case, he needs this experience. He needs to see all he can see and then evaluate and get better from year one to year two. Now, if he's making some of the same mistakes, and when I say some, he's going to make them. He's going to make some mistakes, but consistently in year two, now that becomes a problem because that means he's not progressing in the way you want him to progress.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I mean, to Tony's point, the indecisiveness, I think, is something, it's a good way of putting the feeling that I had watching him today, where it's like, I don't know. It's not just who to throw to, but it's seeing in real time, do I throw this away? Do I try to scramble? Do I step up in the pocket? Do I run right into this pressure outside the tackle? Like those are the things that it kind of feels like aren't happening quickly enough, at least in this game, because we felt like the opposite was true in previous games where he excelled at the decision making. And I think that's where you're reminded that this is still a rookie, like learning the ropes in the NFL. I just don't think it's fair to his offensive line to just completely absolve Cam Ward of any responsibility in the sacks, the holding on to the ball, that sort of thing. Yeah. That's where I would be critical. I think it is something that Cam Ward needs to improve upon moving forward.
Yeah, and one other thing I add to that he made a mention of too is sometimes you throw the receiver open because the coverage will be tight. So sometimes you got to put the ball in a place that your guy has a chance to make the play, not their guy. And that's going to come with experience too. But he has the thing that he has some accuracy issues today and all year long, but today particularly. But that's what he's got to do. Sometimes there's a back shoulder throw. Sometimes you got to throw it low and to the right or whatever because you know the defender is coming. Those are the things he's going to have to learn and get well versed in. I think that's where separates some of the better quarterbacks versus the ones that are still developing is they understand I'm throwing the guy open and then I can't miss layups. You're going to miss a layup every now and then, but you can't miss them often. And I think he missed some layups today, and he's missed some throughout the season, but today he missed some layups. Some guys were open he should have hit or back shouldered or he threw it in the dirt or what have you. And that is where it's going to separate him from year one and year two, you hope.
I agree. Let's finish our phone calls with Andre. Andre, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Hey, what's up, guys? I appreciate the being able to talk to you all. But a couple of things today. I went to the game. It's my first game of the year this year, and our receivers didn't do anything today. They were strapped like a baby in a car seat today. No separation, no type of anything today to help out Cam Ward at all. Now, I do know that I did see Cam hold on to the ball a couple times too much. I think Alec was open on a deep pass maybe. I may be wrong on that. But all in all, our receivers, man, it's definitely leaned me to, Jordan Tyson, Tate at Ohio State. Like, come on down, get your hat, get your jersey. We're going to pick you and not even worry about the edge in the first round, baby. And I was a big edge guy coming into the first round next year, but our receivers were horrible today. The offense was horrible, but our receivers had to do something to help out the quarterback at least. But that's all I have. Also, Titans fans, I really don't like y'all. Y'all are horrible. Let's pick up the team some way, somehow. I know our team sucks, but to kind of like just pile on Cam for everything, even for one bad pass, two bad passes, like y'all Titans fans suck. That's all I got to say. Tighten up, and y'all have a good rest of your day. Long week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Said step it up, Titans fans.
Yeah, he said step it up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't really have much to add. I kind of agree.
Draft wide receiver over edge.
Draft Jeremiah Love over everybody.
Ooh, now let's start a dialogue.
Let's start a dialogue. All right. Let's guess what? Now we look ahead to next week's opponent, the look ahead presented by Eurofix. Let me remind you that Eurofix repairs everything European that you drive and below dealer pricing. ASE certified technicians, a local company that has serviced Middle Tennessee for over 2 decades. Visit EurofixOnline.com. Next week, the Titans are heading up to Cleveland to face Shedeur Sanders and the Browns, and there's been a lot of people in the chat who say the Tennessee Titans should have drafted Shedeur Sanders over Cam Ward, which, we weren't too far from that kind of take, but I'm not saying that take now. But Shedeur Sanders got a raw deal in the draft. Some of it his own doing. Some of it is just the NFL and how it works. But Shedeur Sanders, they lost today. San Francisco 26-8. Shedeur Sanders, 16 of 25, 149 yards, 1 touchdown. I believe he was sacked 3 times as well. So looking ahead, I mean, is this the Myles Garrett legacy game? Like, how many sacks is Myles Garrett going to get?
I say, because the conversation all week is going to be on every channel, every sports talk is going to be about the two quarterbacks who, when we were talking about this by time last year, 1 and 2. Like, they were the two best quarterbacks in college football. And, then Jackson Dart was kind of mixed in there. But those are the talk of the town, right? And then whatever happened. And now here we are, week whatever. And now the conversation is going to be about these two rookie quarterbacks. One is going into his second or third start. One has been starting all year long. And that's going to be conversation. But the conversation needs to be what you just said last. What is Myles Garrett going to do against these tackles?
Mm-hmm.
I just saw a clip on him on Twitter. And the agility of that big old boy and listen, if there's an advantage that Shedeur has that over Cam is that he don't have to worry about a Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
And that is peaceful in itself, let alone trying to figure out what the defense and everybody else is doing. So they're going to have to solidify that protection to even let Cam have a chance, because that dude is coming. He is a beast, man. He is every bit of, I don't know who's better between him and Michael Parsons, but give me 1A, 1B, but them are the two best pass rushers in the game right now.
Okay, so 7 offensive linemen, 1 quarterback, one running back, and then that would lead, that's 9, so 2 tight ends, all on the line. Just go extra heavy.
All on Myles Garrett.
Well, you may need them all on Myles Garrett.
Right side.
Maybe you just need him to like run in a flying V formation, so he at least has to stop at every one of them before he gets to Cam Ward.
It is a matchup that could absolutely dictate the outcome of this game. I mean, I think
for real.
We've seen him do it before, right? A couple of years ago when Deshaun Watson played the Tennessee Titans in Cleveland. It's like one of his first games that year. I think it was right after the New Orleans Saints game, where Chig and Tajay and all those guys dropped balls. I think so. I guess that would have been 2022.
22.
Like, that game was dictated by Myles Garrett, and they did nothing to help out the tackles in that game. And those games, I mean, like, you need like 5 people over there.
And you look at the way Dan Moore Jr. has struggled at times with power. Myles Garrett can do it all. J.C. Latham's still recovering from his hip injury, at least it looks like to me, because he's not quite the same. He's having some issues planting and anchoring, that sort of thing that reared their ugly head in today's game a couple of times. Myles Garrett is a guy that can do it all. I mean, he can bull rush, he can cross inside, he's got a spin move. Like he can do he can win a rush in a million different ways. And going up against guys that are kind of struggling to anchor right now, man, it could get ugly. And it's not just Myles Garrett either. I mean, they've got a guy, high draft pick, Mason Graham, that is playing good football right now too. And you've got your backup center end that's starting. We don't know the status of Lloyd Cushenberry unless I'm just not remembering it. Kevin Zeitler has struggled at times this season. You put Mason Graham, Myles Garrett on the right side of that line, man, if you're the Titans, you just got to cross your fingers and hope for the best. I mean, it could really get ugly.
And listen, on the flip side, I mean, Shedeur Sanders, one of the big knocks on him was that he takes too many sacks. He bails on the pocket way deep and takes a sack for like 20 yards.
Yeah.
So maybe there's an opportunity, because his Cleveland Browns offensive line isn't that much better than the Tennessee Titans, if it's even better at all. Maybe the worst in the league right now statistically. So maybe there's an opportunity for this team to kind of keep. This could be a 3-0 game, like score game.
Or it could be the other way, just
maybe it's just all
wide
crazy.
Open, 42-38 or something,
Man, I would love for like Cam Ward to throw like 3 touchdowns and 300, yards and all that kind of stuff. Again, I would fall back onto trying to get back to doing more 12 personnel. That's where all 3 explosive runs from Tony Pollard came from in 12 personnel, but you only ran first off the ball 14 times, but 7 of those came from 12 personnel. So I would lean into that in the pass game too, because you're going to want the ability to have an extra blocker or an extra chip guy on Myles Garrett, and then go into your 2 more trusted receivers in Chig and Gunnar Helm.
So they call that 12 personnel because it was an extra lineman and 2 tight ends.
Yeah, now that's also 12 personnel. So they're both 12 personnel, 1 running back, 2 tight ends, even if there's an extra offensive lineman in the game, too.
I was calling it 13 or 23, whatever.
Yeah, they call it, they do 12 personnel with an asterisk is how a couple of these places do it. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Something else Dr. Dyson brought up. Cleveland is not a fun place to play this time of year.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. It's gonna be,
breeze off the
it's going to be cold. All right, that will do it for us, and that was the Titans look ahead presented by Eurofix. Titans radio coverage produced by Joseph Bonanno, studio producer Justin Hawkins, studio host Lucas Panzica, promotions director Rich Ferris, director of sales Hunter Rice, general manager Allison Warren, operations manager Paul Mason, executive producer Rhett Bryan, the grand poobah behind the glass Jackson Williams as well. This has been the Lee Company Titans Talkback for Kevin Dyson, for Stoney Keeley. I'm Zach Lyons, and this is 104.5 The Zone.